So y'all saw the title and thumbnail, and I know what you're thinking. This guy must be mad weird. But no. Hear me out. So, I'm a teenager, and pretty much what happened is the other day I overheard this one sassy kid at the park, and it just had me thinking, how do little kids act as a whole? Now, whenever you look up the definition of what a kid is on Google, this is what pops up. A child or young person. Kinda simple. It's kinda like, well, no dip, Sherlock. But that's the Oxford Dictionary definition, and in my opinion, it just doesn't stop there. A young person to me is like ages, I'd say, 5 to 10. After that, they start getting a bit older, and they're basically a teenager. Well, actually, no. I'll give them up to 12, or maybe even 13. Then they're actually a teenager. But a lot of times, especially the younger ones, they have absolutely no chill. Especially the girls. They be acting like they're starring in Mean Girls or something. Now, some of them are just innocent and trying to be funny, or they say something that they see and they don't necessarily understand it. For example, they might see someone with no arms and be like, "High five!" And then they start laughing about it, thinking they made the joke of the century. And then you got the parents over here, all embarrassed, whilst the person with no arms is just trying to laugh it off like nothing happened, whenever they know that it affected them, even if it's just slightly. Also, kids are very direct and truthful. They say whatever's on their mind. Like, they'll tell you if you look good or you don't. And it doesn't help that they could get away with a lot at such a young age. Y'all might also be wondering, what was that sassy kid at the park saying? So pretty much my nephew. He's really young, or in other words, at a toddler's age right now, and he wanted to go down the slide. So I was trying to get him to wait in line, but he doesn't necessarily understand the concept of a line yet. So pretty much I was telling him to wait, but he was still trying to go down the slide. And what happened was the kid turned around, put their hands out as if saying stop, and said wait, like in a really arrogant tone. Now, to be fair, they probably didn't understand that they were being mean, and it didn't affect him because he didn't really understand that they were being mean. So it was okay. And I kind of looked at her funny after she said that she's going down a slide. Also, FYI, my nephew, he had a lot of fun going down a slide. He went down about 5 different times, so that's all that matters. But this opinion that I've been saying is mainly for younger kids. I would say ages 5 to, and no, I'm not trying to clip farm when I say this, but ages 5 to maybe 6 or 7. But what about older kids? From ages, 7 to 12. Well, in my opinion, they have a lot more of an ego, and they could be a lot more arrogant because when you think about it, at their age, they're just trying to make sure they're appreciated by everyone and kind of just fit in. And whenever they're 12, they're about to go into middle school, or they're just going into 6th grade. So they're getting that exposure, and they tend to think they're really old until they see the 8th graders. And whenever there are about 7, next year they're about to get actual grades, like number grades starting in the 3rd grade. So they think they're about to be really big kids, so their ego kind of skyrockets. My ego kind of skyrocketed too. But you still don't have the social skills, so you kind of do some things that are rude but still technically allowed. So pretty much you're just really outgoing. Also, I feel like a lot of times they don't really know what to do in life, so adults have a lot of influence on them, especially older teenagers, also especially if they have older siblings. Because whenever they see an older kid, they're like, I want to grow up too and be just like them. But no, you don't. And you don't really figure that out until you get older. I feel like out of the older kids, the weirdest age to be I'd say, not 14, but more 15 than 14, because you're not necessarily considered almost an adult, because, you can't necessarily drive anywhere, but you're not necessarily a kid. I feel like people would start treating you even remotely childish, more late 14. On another note, younger kids and, well, kids in general, they just need a lot of attention. Or I feel like they could feel left out. So they're a lot to handle, especially if they think they're older than they actually are. So, do I hate kids? No. Am I scared of them and try and avoid them at all costs? Absolutely. But thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you can.